night is long and the path is dark. Look to the sky, for one day soon the dawn will come.
Hello there. This week, the topic is altars. What is an altar? It can mean many things. An altar is a sacred space above all. A place that can be of contemplation, yes. A place of practice. A place of learning. It is where creativity, knowledge, and divine manifestation in many ways can take place. To have one place is important, one place to practice magic. This place holds an energy. It is familiar energy. You become comfortable with it. It works as a magnet. I believe that above all, an altar should be a reflection of yourself. An altar that is kept tidy, working, functional, is a mirror of a spirit that is functional and tidy. This is the point of an altar in many ways. Practicing at an altar, learning, creating at an altar, is a way of imbuing that place with magic, imbuing it with this sense of energy and memory of what that place means to you specifically. Because an altar is a very personal and private thing, each one is different. There are no wrong or right ways when it comes to setting up an altar. It can be simple or as complicated as you wish. Choosing colours, materials that speak to you is important. Tools kept on an altar. For convenience, my wands were kept on a wall, on a rack. Some I prefer to use for different practices of magic. The root in my hand is known as masterwort. For any witch practitioner, it is a useful tool on the altar. Kept on an altar, it can be used as a representation of the self, the roots reaching downwards, each one a strand, a feather in the cap of your spiritual progression. An athame, or athame, is something that some people have and some people do not. My athame, or athame, is made of brass. I find brass or copper to be a more suitable material than iron, depending on the spirits I work with. Wands can also be used, or a finger even, a staff. All are a connection of the self, a focal point for intention. Deities you will often find on altars. My main patron, the god of the hunt, Kronos, Hern by other names, is unusual. I have two aspects of him. The aspect of death, this primal empowerment on the left. On the right, the aspect of rebirth, verdant life, renewal. I also find that Cernunnos in particular prefers Scotch. Only the best is served for him, and also port wine. Two favourites, it seems, of his. The two are one, yet separate. They have attributes that I can call on. Either side of these two aspects of Cernunnos, on the left Ceridwen, the Welsh goddess, keeper of the cauldron, a patron goddess to all witches. There is also a slate with an oil lamp, with the seal of Hecate or Hecate. I chose Hecate next to Ceridwen because there are very familiar parallels between the two, and I work with both. On the right is Brigid. She is a triple goddess, much the same way Ceridwen is, yet she is more mother goddess in Crone. The harvest, healing, the hearth, cooking. These are attributes related to Brigid. There are many other deities and spirits that I work with, but these three, or four if you like, are my main go-to. They are the deities I work with the most. Other things such as lamps have different meaning. Lamps to remove curses, offerings are placed, incense, fumigation is also important. Depending on what incense you use, it can often cleanse, push out, charge, or calm the environment. The object of a cauldron or pot. This is Ceridwen's domain. She is keeper of the cauldron. Candles on an altar are commonplace. The reason being is they are votives, offerings. Think of them as an on switch to your altar, a way of activating, a way of beginning. Almost all rituals, dating back and even into modern practice, begin with candles or lamps being lit. It is a form of illumination. The same way the universe was born into being. Candles should never be blown out on an altar. The candle blown out is an act of casting outwards, a banishment. Instead, snuffed out with the fingers or a snuffer is better. Everything on your altar should have a meaning. It should provoke something within you that either inspires or drives you on to your practice. Below the horned one, I like to keep things that I find through each spring and summer and autumn as well. Acorns, berries, leaves, feathers, anything that speaks to me or feels familiar to me. Also, there are small representations of familiars of mine who have long gone. My snake sits at the foot of the horned one. Jewellery is very present on my altar. Almost all jewellery here is made by me. Much thought goes into it, carving, polishing. Everything is threaded by me. This is another form of offering, not just when placed on the altar, no, when being made, hours of work and thought and love going into objects to then be adorned on these deities. An important altar must have is a good question. Plenty of space. Altars have a habit of growing exponentially very quickly. The main thing for an altar is space. A space that is undisturbed, that you can move freely and practice freely. Anything else is an addition of you. There are some basic things that you can have for an altar, although nothing is truly necessary. A sacred space, but one that contains perhaps 4 elements. Something from fire, air as a form of a feather or incense, water, and earth. This can be earth, it can also be salt. An altar does not need to be very complex. A small table or even ground outside in a garden works wonderfully, especially in warmer weather. Plants are often favoured among people. Forms of life, forms of nature, anything that you may find, the same as you collect stones on a beach or shells, and you wish to bring them home. An altar may be the reason why. Feathers, yes, even sticks, pine cones. All things that are freely available can be placed on an altar, small gifts in a way from the earth herself. When it comes to symbols, the triskel, the 3 spirals connected, going clockwise. This is a symbol I have always preferred. The pentagram is also a symbol that I use. They are symbols that I relate to, and this is most important. They must mean something to you. The same with sigils. You can make your own. No one needs to know what they mean. Over time, you may even forget yourself, but the intent behind them are still there. It is what makes them powerful. Yes, I do keep ancestors on my altar. Honouring them is something as simple as remembrance. A picture on the altar is a good way. When it comes to their birthdays, things like that, I like to light a candle for them. Perhaps a food that they enjoyed a lot, or a drink, even a form of tobacco or something they enjoyed, can be offered up as well. This is a good way to honour them, but the best way to honour your ancestors is to live a good life. There are some things. Personal preference to me, I do not place money on my altar. Some people do, depending on their different beliefs and their practices. For me, it feels too much as a form of bribery. Money means nothing to spirits and deities. I would personally, as a deity, I would find it as an insult. Salt must be carefully placed on altars. Certain spirits that you work with, as I mentioned before, do not like salt. The same goes with some herbs and living plants. One plant in particular that you should steer clear of at all costs, and I was warned of from a young age, is pansies. The yellow, pink, red flowers with the velvety black centre. They have a singular, strange ability to absorb psychic energy. Not negative psychic energy, just psychic energy. If you have even the smallest psychic ability or potential, you will feel drained and lethargic around them. For any other information on my altar or how to begin an altar, or any questions, please feel free to ask in the comments. Please also like and subscribe. I hope you have a blessed week. Goodbye. Beautiful, yes. Fine. Pulled her up.
Okay.
Shit. Beautiful, yes. Are you falling asleep there?
What kind
Yeah.
of the heck? It was like a 12-minute long question.
Oh, it was.
Forever.
Beautiful, yes. You did not apologize. You apologized just like any Aries. I'm sorry, but.
Didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Sorry.